Welcome to our presentation on biological classification. Today, we'll explore the systems used to classify living organisms and understand the importance of studying this topic in biology. In our previous chapter, The Living World, What is Life? We learned that it holds 1% weightage in the NEET exam. This chapter, Biological Classification, is more significant, with a 3% weightage based on the last 10 years of question papers. We begin with the classification system, laying the groundwork for our journey. Despite minimal recent NEET focus, its understanding is fundamental. Next, Kingdom Monera emerges, with 3 recent questions showcasing its importance. Transitioning to Kingdom Protista, although only one recent question, it offers valuable insights into single-celled organisms. Kingdom Fungi captivates with 5 recent questions, emphasizing its role in biodiversity. Lastly, virus, viroids, prions, and lichens reveal microscopic wonders, with 4 recent NEET questions highlighting their significance. Firstly, we define biological classification, laying the foundation for our understanding of life's diversity. Next, we explore the principal systems of classification, including artificial, phylogenetic, and natural classifications, each offering unique perspectives on categorizing life forms. Lastly, we investigate the several classification systems, ranging from 2 to 7 kingdoms, each proposing different ways to organize and classify living organisms. First, we will define biological classification. Biological classification is the scientific method of organizing organisms into groups based on similarities and differences in fundamental characteristics. It serves as a systematic framework for understanding the vast diversity of life on our planet. Firstly, we encounter the artificial system. Picture this as a classification method based on observable characteristics, often just scratching the surface of an organism's true nature. It's like judging a book by its cover, focusing more on appearances rather than deeper connections. Transitioning to the natural system, we delve into a more profound understanding. Here, classification is rooted in the natural relationships and comprehensive characteristics of organisms. It's akin to unraveling the intricate threads of a tapestry, revealing the interconnectedness of life forms. Next, we encounter the phylogenetic system. This method takes us on an evolutionary journey, tracing the genetic footprints of organisms to uncover their shared ancestry. It's like exploring a family tree, tracing back generations to understand our roots. And then, there's phenetic classification. In this approach, organisms are grouped based on overall similarity, emphasizing the collective traits they share. It's like assembling a puzzle, fitting pieces together based on their shapes and patterns. This concept appeared in the JIPMER exams of 2013 and 2017. Let's dive deeper into the artificial system of classification, where superficial characteristics take center stage. The artificial system relies on gross, superficial, and morphological characteristics for classification. Imagine it as sorting organisms based on their outward appearances, without delving into their deeper complexities. In this system, traits that are readily observable become the basis for categorization. It's like sorting a collection of rocks based solely on their size, shape, or color, without considering their geological composition or origin. Let's journey back to ancient Greece, where Theophrastus, from 370 to 287 BC, classified plants into four categories: trees, shrubs, undershrubs, and herbs. In his system, trees stood tall with woody stems, shrubs were smaller but still woody, undershrubs were low-growing, and herbs lacked woody stems. Let's explore Aristotle's early classification of animals, shedding light on ancient perspectives on the natural world. In the ancient Greek era, Aristotle, a towering intellect of his time, classified animals into two main groups: Anema and Anema. Anema comprised animals with red-colored blood, encompassing mammals, birds, reptiles, and amphibians. Meanwhile, Anema consisted of animals without red-colored blood, including invertebrates and fish. Let's journey to the 18th century and explore the groundbreaking work of Carl Linnaeus in the realm of biological classification. Carl Linnaeus, a Swedish botanist, revolutionized the field of taxonomy by developing a system based on sexual characteristics, known as the sexual system of classification. In Linnaeus's system, plants were classified based on the number and arrangement of their reproductive organs, such as stamens and pistils. This approach aimed to simplify and standardize plant classification, making it more accessible to botanists worldwide. Now uncover the limitations of the artificial system of classification. Not evolution-based, it overlooks evolutionary relationships among organisms. Superficial groupings: unrelated organisms may be grouped together based on superficial traits. Limited traits relies on a few visible characteristics, neglecting important genetic and evolutionary factors. Let's delve into the phylogenetic system of classification, a method rooted in the evolutionary history of organisms. In the phylogenetic system, organisms are classified based on their evolutionary descent. This approach aims to trace the genetic relationships among species, grouping them according to their shared ancestry. Now understand common ancestry in biological classification. Organisms within the same taxon share a common ancestry. This relationship is depicted in a cladogram, a family tree illustrating evolutionary history. Let's explore the origins of the phylogenetic system proposed by Adolf Engler and Karl A. Prantl in 1887. In their monumental work, Die Natürlichen Pflanzenfamilien, Engler and Prantl introduced the phylogenetic system. They suggested that angiosperms evolved from a hypothetical gymnospermic ancestor. Now explore another significant contribution to the phylogenetic system, this time by John Hutchinson in his book, The Families of Flowering Plants. In his work, Hutchinson presented a phylogenetic system that described a monophyletic origin of angiosperms. Unlike Engler and Prantl's proposal of a polyphyletic origin, Hutchinson suggested that angiosperms shared a single common ancestor. Hutchinson's insights provided a new perspective on plant evolution, emphasizing the unity of angiosperms and advancing our understanding of their evolutionary relationships. Let's uncover the advantages of the phylogenetic system, shedding light on its benefits in biological classification. One key advantage of the phylogenetic system is that it minimizes the chances of placing unrelated organisms in the same group. By emphasizing evolutionary relationships, this system ensures that organisms within a taxon share a common ancestry, reducing the likelihood of misleading classifications. Let's explore the natural system of classification, a method that illuminates the intrinsic relationships among organisms. In the natural system, classification is based on morphological and anatomical characteristics that reflect the natural relationships among organisms. This approach seeks to uncover the underlying similarities and differences that indicate evolutionary connections and shared ancestry. Now examine the evolution of the natural system of classification, tracing its development from morphological similarity to a broader array of characteristics. Initially, the natural system relied on morphological similarity to classify organisms, focusing primarily on outward appearances. However, as scientific understanding advanced, additional criteria such as anatomy, embryology, and ultrastructure were incorporated into the classification process. Let's journey back to the 18th century and explore the classification efforts of D. Jussieu, a pioneering figure in the study of flowering plants. D. Jussieu, who lived from 1699 to 1776, made significant contributions to the classification of flowering plants. He divided these plants into groups based on several criteria, including monocots and dicots, ovary positions, and the presence or absence of petals. Now explore the significant contributions of George Bentham and J.D. Hooker in the realm of botanical classification. Between 1862 and 1883, George Bentham and J.D. Hooker developed one of the most important natural systems of classification for angiosperms. Their comprehensive work was detailed in the treatise Genera Plantarum. Let's uncover one of the advantages of the natural system of classification, highlighting its ability to minimize the chance of grouping unrelated organisms together. An advantage of the natural system is that it provides little chance of placing unrelated organisms in the same group. By emphasizing morphological, anatomical, and other characteristics indicative of natural relationships, this system ensures that organisms within a taxon share a common ancestry. Let's embark on a journey through the evolution of kingdom classification, tracing its development from 2 kingdoms to 7 kingdoms. Now take a closer look at the evolution of kingdom classification from 2 kingdoms to 7 kingdoms, as summarized in this table. 2 kingdoms classification. This system, developed by Carolus Linnaeus in 1758, classified all organisms into either plantae, plants, or animalia, animals. 3 kingdoms classification. In 1866, Ernst Haeckel added a 3rd kingdom, Monera, for single-celled organisms. This kingdom included bacteria and archaea. 4 kingdoms classification. In 1966, Herbert Copeland divided Monera into Protista, all single-celled organisms except bacteria, and Monera, bacteria. He also renamed Plantae to Metaphyta and Animalia to Metazoa. 5 kingdoms classification. In 1969, R.H. Whittaker further divided Protista into Protista, mostly unicellular eukaryotes, and Monera, bacteria. This 5-kingdom system was widely used for many years. 6 kingdoms classification. In 1977, Carl Bose et al. Reclassified bacteria and archaea based on their ribosomal RNA. They placed them in separate kingdoms, Eubacteria and Archaebacteria. 7 kingdoms classification. In 1981 and 1998, Thomas Cavalier Smith added a new kingdom, Chromista, for certain algae-like protists. He renamed Eubacteria to Bacteria and Archaebacteria to Archaea. Let's explore the diverse ways in which cells can be classified, highlighting 4 key criteria: cell nature, cell occurrence, mode of nutrition, and level of body organization. Cell nature, prokaryotic or eukaryotic. Prokaryotic cells lack a true nucleus and membrane-bound organelles, while eukaryotic cells have both. Cell occurrence, unicellular or multicellular. Unicellular organisms consist of only one cell, while multicellular organisms are made up of many cells. Mode of nutrition, autotrophs or heterotrophs. Autotrophs make their own food, while heterotrophs depend on other organisms for food. Level of body organization. This refers to how cells are organized in an organism. It can range from simple, no tissues or organs, to complex, with tissues, organs, and organ systems. Comparative account of characteristics of the five kingdoms of Whittaker's classification. Monera are single-celled organisms that lack a true nucleus and membrane-bound organelles. They have a cell wall made of a unique combination of polysaccharides and amino acids. They can be either autotrophic, meaning they produce their own food, or heterotrophic, meaning they obtain food from other organisms. Protista are a diverse group of eukaryotic organisms that can be either unicellular or multicellular. Some protists have a cell wall, but it is not made of cellulose like the cell walls of plants. Protists can be either autotrophic or heterotrophic. Fungi are eukaryotic, multicellular organisms that have cell walls made of chitin, a substance also found in the exoskeletons of insects. Fungi are heterotrophs and obtain their nutrients by decomposing dead organisms, saprotrophs, or living off other organisms, parasites. Plantae are multicellular, eukaryotic organisms with cell walls made of cellulose. They are autotrophs and produce their own food through photosynthesis. Animalia are multicellular, eukaryotic organisms that lack cell walls. They are heterotrophs and obtain their food by eating other organisms, holozoan, or decomposing dead organisms, saprotrophic. This concept appeared in the exams 2015 J and K CET 2014-COMEDK, 2014 APMT and 2014 Kerala PMT.